What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we're in a situation where there are 3 One Piece TCG sets coming up in the not too distant future. We've got OP-10 coming up, we've got EB-02 coming up, and we've got OP-11 coming up, which then of course asks a question that we ask regularly on this channel. Alright, 3 sets coming up. Which one is the best? Which one is the most deserving of your money? And look, we know OP-09 is a phenomenal set. Ridiculous set, great set. That one is out now, and for the next month still, it's going to be the only new set. So we're not talking about OP-09. We know that's a great set. We are talking about the 3 sets coming after that. And with OP-11 now essentially largely revealed in Japan, we've got all the big cards we need to know about now revealed. It's time to sit and have a look at which of these sets we should be focusing on. Sound like a plan? Excellent. So let's start off then going in order with OP-10. And I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm sorry if this sounds a bit mean, OP-10's a little disappointing. Now, when I say a little disappointing, I don't mean it's a bad set. I mean it's a little disappointing. I mean, OP-09 was a redonkulous, phenomenal set, and OP-10 is just not on the same level. The manga rare for OP-10 is your Trafalgar Law. Law is awesome. Everybody loves Trafalgar Law. But the other 2 sets I'm going to show you have Manga Luffy in, and I think we can all agree that Manga Luffy is just a lot more exciting. We do have some really good special rares in OP-10. They're ones that I think people are going to get excited about. The most valuable among them is actually Usohachi, because it's a very playable card. And then we got ourselves an Edward Newgate, which is pretty good. And then Charlotte Flampe is quite nice. But it's not like we've seen in some of the other sets. There isn't that one big special rare that some of the sets have where we look at it and we're like, ooh, I would very much like to pull that one. It's not in there. In terms of leaders, we have some decently playable leaders, which makes me very happy here. We've got a bunch of leaders that are seeing a little bit of play, but value-wise, the biggest one is Usopp. And Usopp's a decent leader. It's Dressrosa, it's seeing a bit of play, but it's not exactly setting the world on fire. Smoker also seeing a bit of play. Law also seeing a bit of play. But value-wise, the leaders just really aren't there. And artwork-wise, I am not a fan, and I know I might not be the only one here, but I know a bunch of people might disagree with me. I am not a fan of the alt art leaders in OP-10. I think they're the worst we've seen. I've got alt art leaders, I think, from every set so far. I'm not fussed if I pull any from OP-10. I'll buy a bunch of OP-10 like I always do. It's a cool enough set. But my point is, the manga rare is fairly underwhelming. One of the cheaper manga rares we've had. There's no big special rare. The leaders are fine, but they're not particularly great. And we end up with a set that I introduced as underwhelming, and I think it is. And I'm not saying it's a bad set. There's plenty of stuff to love about this set. We've got playable leaders. We've got a secret rare Luffy, which is very cool. There's a lot about this set which I like very much indeed. I just don't think it's a particularly big or special set. There's an alternate art Kazan, which is honestly right up there with most of the special rares. It's a very cool Kazan, very playable. It's one of the best cards in the set. But frankly, OP-10 as a set is a little underwhelming. Do remember it is the first set which is bringing in the manga events. Now these, again, they're up there with Kazan and the lower end special rares. They're fine. They're not super duper rare or anything along those lines. They're just kind of cool. And it's a nice set, but there's nothing really terribly special about OP-10, I'm sorry. So what about EB-02? That's out in Japan right now. That's a bit of a smaller set, but is that special? Well, straight off the bat, we got a Manga Luffy. And it's not quite on the level of the other Manga Luffys we've seen, but make no mistake about it, it's a Manga Luffy. It's a high-end manga rare. Straight off the bat, that makes it better than OP-10, the fact that there's a Manga Luffy. But maybe we need a bit more than that. Well, there's only actually one alternate art leader. The alternate art leader is the alternate art Luffy. It is significantly higher, and I mean like 5 times higher than any of the alternate art leaders from OP-10. And it's already proven to be one of the very, very best leaders in the game. So we might only have one alternate art leader in EB-02, but it's an absolute belter of a leader, to use a very British phrase, and that alone is going to make people very, very excited. So make no mistake about it, there's only one leader, but it's absolutely great. And there's no special rares because it's an EB set, not an OP set. And frankly, the alternate art characters are fairly underwhelming. There's a Sanji and a Pudding and a Nefertari Vivi, which have got a little bit of value there on the higher end, but are not particularly amazing. But then we do have the Enel, which is actually up there with the Kazan from OP-10. The Enel is great. I've talked a lot about how great that card is. It's a ridiculous card. It is the biggest alternate art from the set. So one of the best things we saw from OP-10 was that it had one regular alternate art, which was really good. Well, so does this. Plus a couple of others a little bit below it, which kind of ruins it a bit. We do have those lovely sketch cards, which are kind of like sketch anime. They're not valuable or rare or anything along those lines. They're fairly standard cards. They just look incredibly cool, so they're one reason to pick them up. But then there is one other thing that is going on with EB-02, and that is the gold foil leaders. Straight reprints of existing leaders, but textured and with gold detailing, and they are phenomenal. And the pull rates on them must be very, very low, because these are like the big pulls from the set. Luffy and Enel, both above the only alt art leader in the set. Luffy and Enel are very big leaders here. Boa Hancock is actually the biggest leader in there. Bonnie is another one. All the ones I've mentioned are over like 20,000 yen, which is 4 booster boxes. These are kind of a big deal. These are really nice cards. These are basically like the pulls, the hits from the set. But then we've also got the manga Luffy and some good alternate arts and a really good alternate art leader. And basically, even though it's a smaller set, playability-wise, arguably better. Hits-wise, definitely better. EB-02 is actually a pretty big deal. For an EB set, it is a pretty big deal. So what about OP-11? OP-11's kind of new. It's not out in Japan. So I can't tell you anything about the value of the set because I don't know. The set's not out. I can't tell you about the playability because I don't know. What I can tell you is OP-11 does seem like a very big deal. We've got a Nami leader that looks phenomenal and has an alternate art, which is probably going to be very valuable. We've also got a very nice-looking Kobe leader and a very nice-looking Luffy leader. A couple of others that don't look quite as good, but they look to be the 3 big leaders. I know some people are going to say Katakuri. I'm saying these are the 3 best ones for now. We'll have to wait and see as we go along. But we seem to have 3 good leaders and the alternate arts in this set are back to being absolutely stunning. Manga events are back, except now there's 3 of them, and one of them's got Luffy on, so that's kind of a big deal. We've got a manga Luffy, Gear Force Snake Luffy, which I think is going to be bigger than the EB-02 manga Luffy. I have no proof of this. I could absolutely be wrong, but I feel confident that it's going to end up being a little bit bigger. We've got an alternate art Nami, which I think is going to be a very big deal. And an alternate art Zeus, which is basically Nami, which I think is going to be a very big deal. And another alternate art Kazan, for what it's worth, which could be a pretty big deal. So the alternate arts in this set look phenomenal, both artistically and in terms of play. And then we've got a new style of special rare, but look at Shirahoshi. Look at Luffy Taro. These could be very big cards, and we don't know. They're new, they're not out. We don't know how much people are going to like them, but they look absolutely stunning. I think if you put this side by side with OP-10, we got better special rares, better alternate arts, better manga, better everything. EB-02 is going to be an interesting comparison, because both this and EB-02 have a manga Luffy, and this obviously has good special rares and good alternate arts, but then again, EB-02's got a lot of cool stuff like I pointed out, and then the foil leaders. And I think that is a lot of what's going to be the differentiator here between EB-02 and OP-11. I think if the foil leaders appeal to you, EB-02 is going to be a set where you're going to want to go hard. If you're not into the foil leaders, EB-02's got a lot of cool stuff, but it is a smaller set. And I don't think OP-11 is going as hard as, say, OP-09, but I do think compared to OP-10, it is a big step up. I think OP-11 is going to be a pretty gosh darn big set. So there we go. There's my opinion. And now it's over to you guys. Tell me which of these sets you're excited about. Tell me which of these sets you want to join in with. Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts. Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a whole bunch of other card games. And do please consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.